Welcome to Tailor Made Chaos. On this podcast, we'll bring you some of the highest flyers and most interesting people in and around the fitness industry. We'll talk and laugh with CEOs, franchisee groups, exercise specialists, and to those who work in sales and marketing, and we'll share their insights and knowledge of all things related to the business of fitness. Love what you hear? Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up to date. On with today's show, proudly brought to you in conjunction with fitintoshape, a small but dedicated team of fitness industry professionals, delivering on all of your fitness equipment and gym design needs.
3, 2, 1.
Car radio and pulling it apart and finding out what was inside it and what it made it work.
Yep.
So I guess even from a younger age, I was a bit of a geek.
Yep.
I was always into computers. My brother introduced me to the first Apple Mac that was small enough to be able to sit on your table.
Yep.
He was working for Apple at the time.
Okay.
So he gave me one of those, and I guess, I've been computers, geeks. I'm a confessed geek. I'd go with that.
Got it here first. So you said you moved up to Queensland in the late 19. You were 19. What year was this that you'd sort of come up? Let's date you a little bit now.
Okay. Only last year, as a matter of fact. It would have been. It would have been. Oh, I don't know. Would have been.
1990.
Yeah, 95. 95. I came up here.
So we're about the same age.
Oh,
Ish.
what? 45.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started a job up here. Back then there was a product that the government had called CES,
Okay.
or the Commonwealth Employment Service.
Yep.
I went in to apply for a job right after I moved up here. I had my little Apple Mac,
Yep.
and I went and applied for a job that I knew I was absolutely not qualified for. It was a graphic designer, which I liked computers back then, but had no real clue about the software. So I went for the interview. I did a test of what he wanted me to do, and he came back 20 minutes later and he goes, okay, so you don't really have a lot of training? I said, look, I'll do you one thing. If you let me have the discs, I'll take those discs home. I'll put it into my little Apple Mac, because it was an Apple Mac that he was using. I'll get to know it, and then I'll come back on Monday morning. So I did. I took this. He absolutely said, do it. I took the discs home. I loaded onto my small Apple Mac. My mother at the time went through the yellow pages, giving me things to draw. I spent the whole weekend drawing it, and then I went back on Monday morning. He said, okay, you're right to go. So he did, came back in 20 minutes. I created it, and I was their head graphic designer for 7 years.
Interjection, kids. For those of you who don't know, the Yellow Pages was a book. It was a directory that people used to put phone numbers in. You do that stuff electronically now, but back in our day, it was a book.
There was no such thing as Google.
No, there was no such thing as Google.
Nothing.
So 7 years doing graphic design.
Graphic design.
All right. So we've got you somewhere around early 2000.
Yeah, it was early 2000s.
Yep. And I think this is where you and I probably had our paths first intersecting in the fitness industry.
2001, I started with Elite Fitness.
Okay.
With my mate Les. He
Yep.
rang me up one day and said, I want you to be my national service manager. And I went, what does that mean?
So how did you go from being in the government service to getting recruited to go to a home fitness company at the time?
I was working, at the time I was still with the graphic design, and he rang me and said, I knew he had fitness stores.
Yep.
Because Elite Fitness back then it had a commercial arm, but a lot of it was retail stores.
Yeah.
So I knew Les and Mike Tanner for many years earlier, and he rang me up one day and said, I want you to be my national service manager for fitness equipment. And I went,
What's that involved?
What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? So anyway, that was 2001. I worked with them up until 2006.
Okay.
And then I left and went back to a lot of workplace health and safety, mining company. I went for a working mining company, and that's when I got a phone call from Jim Farnham.
Yep.
And he was the managing director of Technogym Australia at that point.
Yep.
And he offered me a job.
Okay.
We had a glass of red wine at the Marriott in Brisbane.
Yep.
And we shook our hands on it, and
As all good job interviews should be.
of course.
And not that we're having a job interview, but cheers to us. Yeah, so you obviously did quite a lot of service work, and I mean back then, service work was probably a little more mechanical. There was less digital.
Correct.
There wasn't, there wasn't computer screens and the like. It was all analog or LED screens in the consoles and the like. So obviously you were doing sort of the graphic design, but how have you sort of gone through the years of progressing to doing more technological type products?
I guess working for Elite gave me a very good opportunity to be able to learn all the things that I needed to learn throughout my career with Elite Fitness. And back then, you're right, a lot of the technology was LED, but around about that time, when the new Excite range came out, it was around about 2003, 2004, and because Elite Fitness had the distributorship for Technogym at that point.
Yeah.
So I got all these discs thrown on my desk, and it had wellness system, and I went, oh, okay, what's this? He goes, look, don't worry about the finer point, you'll get to know it. So all of a sudden I got introduced to the people in Italy, the software side of things. We started to create the wellness system here in Australia, got some feedback back from Italy, how we can do it different ways. So it was a real baptism of fire learning about fitness equipment, because the only thing that I really knew about fitness equipment back then is the fact that you could hang your undies on it. So that was it. So I learnt as much as I could learn.
Yeah.
And we did as much as what we could do. And then in 2006, I went back to the mines. I did some work with the mining companies, and kind of really forgot about it at that point.
Yeah.
Until I got a knock on the door from Jim Farnham from Technogym.
Right.
When they brought their brand to Australia.
Got it. So you started with Technogym.
Yep.
I'm assuming.
I did.
I know.
I did.
What was the role with Technogym? It was a service-based role as well?
Yeah, well, all the servicing that I did with Elite Fitness, and I got to know the Italians. I can only read between the lines, as when Jim Farnham came and saw me, I think it was on the back of what the Italians, go and see Mark, he's done a lot of work in this space, offer him a job.
Yeah.
And he did. And look, he was very gracious. As I said, over a steak and a glass of wine, we did a deal right there and then, and I became his national service manager at that point.
Got it. So this is 2006, 2007?
This is 2006, 2007.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yep.
And by that stage then, the wellness system had obviously started to get some legs of its own.
Yep.
I guess you went back into that baptism of fire?
We did. That was my first introduction to Snap Fitness, funny enough.
Okay.
Is my mate Nick Aspinall, Jim, and myself went to a meeting. We spoke to, back then, who was the newly appointed CEO of Snap Fitness, which was Ros Barker.
Right.
And because going back in time, I did a lot of work for Ros Barker because she wasn't working for Snap Fitness back then. She was working for an independent chain in Brisbane. Yep. And I serviced her clubs unbelievably.
That was HealthWorks, wasn't it?
No, it was no, it wasn't HealthWorks. I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, they had a club on the Gold Coast as well.
They had one in Newstead. They had one at Rosalie. Bodywise. No, yeah, it was Bodywise.
Okay.
Bodywise.
Yeah. Okay.
So they were the first club, I believe, to have the wellness system.
Got it.
And we did a lot of service work for Ros and that chain. And I didn't know Ros had become the CEO of Snap Fitness until I stepped out of the car. Ros and I took one look at each other. We went, oh, wow, she's got a new job. I've got a new job. We both connected and had a big cuddle. Yeah. And poor old Nick and Jim were sitting there going, kind of trying to quickly join the dots.
Yeah.
So that was my first introduction to Snap Fitness, is when I was doing the national service role for Technogym. Right. And we rolled out a lot of Snap clubs. Yeah. Lots of them when they first started out in Australia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back at that point, I think Cybex had done a heap of the stuff, but Cybex wasn't positioned to be one of the suppliers then.
Yep.
Matrix and Technogym, and mostly Technogym, were doing the clubs.
Yep.
And then Cybex came along later, and never really caught up. But so you spent a lot of time doing the wellness system stuff back then, and, and you stayed on with Technogym and obviously gained a lot of experience during that time.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay on at Technogym till?
I stayed on there until the 19th of December 2013. I started Centrefit on the 20th of December 2013, but we really didn't kick it off until March of 2014. That's when we kind of went proprietary limited. We saw some legs in the business and thought this is going to do well. We think. And back then it was Mitchell and myself. We put our black pants on. We got them the blue shirts on. We got a bunch of cards printed from Officeworks and beating the streets.
You were running a business.
There we go. So we had 0 customers at that point.
Yep.
Had absolutely nothing.
Yeah, well, that's a real sort of back yourself moment. But obviously at that stage, you weren't really an IT company. You were still in the equipment servicing. So talk to me about obviously that progression or change that's occurred in the business over that last sort of 7 years. Why did you go down the IT security, IT security type arrangement as opposed to staying in equipment servicing and the like?
Good question. It was more to a point that we were doing equipment servicing back then, and we serviced a lot of the equipment, and we were doing Cybex, we were doing Matrix servicing, we were doing Concept 2, we were doing Technogym, we were doing some of the live fitness in YMCA clubs. We were doing a lot of servicing work back then. But we developed a servicing company, and it was based on you called and we come out and fix whatever you need to be fixed. So we got good at that. We got good at that whole support mechanism.
Yep.
So then customers would call up and say, oh, my CCTV's not working. What do you know about CCTV? And this happened over a quite a long period of time.
Yep.
And you know Susie, right? Susie's our COO. She runs basically the whole company. Yep. I came back to her and I said, what do you know about CCTV? I'm getting people asking me about this a lot. Now, we've always had an IT background. I was in IT. Susie was in IT. Many moons ago before I met Susie, she was building computers. So we had the footings of an IT company back then. So enough people started to ask me questions, and I said to Sue, how hard could it be? And that was kind of my motto, right? So everything that happened, from CCTV to security systems to alarm panels to access control, it happened exactly the same way.
So I remember you telling me a little while ago, the building a plane, you jump off the cliffs and then you build the plane as you fly down. It sounds like that's kind of been Centrefit's motto.
Yeah.
Jump off the cliff and build the plane.
Build the wings on the way down.
Yeah.
It kind of has, because even though we've got smart individuals working for us and we've got some clever people, going into the security side was no mean feat. Because not only, I guess anyone can build a security panel and you can buy the parts off the shelf. It took us a long time to get all the licensing. So you need to have a company license for security, you have to have individual licenses for all your staff. Even Lily and Sue and the guys in the office, they need to do it because they're recovering footage in some cases. So they need to have a security license as well. So it was all of the hoops that we need to jump through. So it wasn't just a case of how hard could it be?
Yeah.
There was a lot of mechanisms that had to fall into place.
It was the scrubbing of police records.
Exactly.
It was, there's
bribery.
many,
So much bribery goes on. So yeah, it was a lot to put together.
Yeah.
But we became very good at it.
Yeah.
And having the knowledge of security panels and what needed to happen, based on that footing that we had with that after-sales support, it became organically. It all just came together organically.
Yeah. So you basically, I think, I can't remember exactly when, but there was a certain point where you basically switched off doing the equipment servicing and really just said, we are an IT security company.
Yep.
This is what we do. I assume that's been a good sort of progression in your career and for the business.
It has been a very good move. I mean, I grew up, ever since I was working for Elite Fitness and Technogym, all I knew about was pulling treadmills and bikes apart and putting them all back together again, and learning software and downloading firmware. That to a security IT provider, it was in some respects, Glenn, it was hard to let go, because it was something that I was very familiar with, and it was something that, you know, sometimes you've got to back yourself and go, well, okay, we're good at this, but this is a new journey for us. Are we going to be any good at it? These are the risks you need to take. And fortunately enough, we had a lot of clients that backed us. They knew us from the servicing side. So come along with the security and CCTV, we had some contacts, and it wasn't a case of just give us all your work. Let me put cameras into your facility and see how that goes. And if you like it, give me another facility and give you another facility. And now we've got to the point, you know, wind forward to 2025, and arguably we're building a lot of the clubs from the ground all the way to the top under our own steam. So a lot of things have happened, but there's been a lot of hard work from not only me, but from Susie and Mitchell and Michael and Lily and our whole team. They've all pulled together and done an absolute cracker of a job.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of your key accounts is Snap Fitness, and that's been really good for you, but you've also worked on some of the premier other facilities by loose association back to those Royals Barker days with Leon McNeese and Total Fusion.
Yep.
I mean, what's been the highlight of you know, what you've been doing in your career so far?
Certainly building clubs is a highlight. Making solutions that work is what I do. That's what keeps me going every day. We've done a lot of other work
What keeps you young?
Well, exactly. Brain keeps ticking around. With Ben and Leon from Total Fusion, we've built pretty much all of their clubs. There's a big step between, and this, no disrespect, there's a difference between building a Snap Club and building a 3 and 4 story wellness facility that's got multiple levels, got multiple server cabinets, and it's all interlinked. So when we took on Total Fusion Morningside, it was a big undertaking. From all of our staff, and it took us all of our energy to work it all out. We did. We got the club open, and it's been a beacon of light ever since. Then we did Springfield, we've done Newstead, and now we're working on some newer projects for them with a different biometric scope.
Cool. Well, I suppose that's probably a good segue. Now, we're under Susie's trust, but, you know, give us a couple of the highlights, some of the key features that are coming to the market that you can talk about.
Okay. One of the key topics that we look at, and we're a security company, right? So we're trying to keep...
Are we behaving, Lily?
We're trying to keep... That's enough. We're trying to keep facilities, big or small, as secure as we possibly can. There's been the introduction to fobs, there's been introduction to swipe cards, there's been introductions to mobile credentials, and we're always a big believer in if it can be loaned or cloned, you need to theoretically look at what you've got, because people can use that and they will exploit it. Criminals, they don't do things by halves, and they're very smart, they really are. And Glenn, we've seen so many facilities of all shapes and sizes have lots of things stolen from inside the facility. So once you've got access to it, lockers are free range. So what we've done, we listen to a lot of our clients, and we've now introduced a locker system that's run on biometrics. So there's no cards, there's no PIN numbers to lose, there's no locks to lose. It's all based on your credentials that we were all born with, and that's our hands and our face. So you walk up to the lockers, you present your hand or your face, it will open up a locker and associate that biometric to the locker. You put your things in it, you shut it. That locker can no longer be used by anybody other than the person that originally opened the locker.
Unless you and Joe Pesci are together. That could be a problem.
Correct. As much as we do look similar, I don't think that biometrics kind of works that way.
Okay, good. So it's a little bit more tech savvy than my poor appreciation of technology.
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit. Okay, good. So, mate, that's what we're allowed to talk about. looking ahead into the future, what do you see as the strategic direction of the fitness slant wellness industry over the next 10 years? Where do you see it going? And where does security play a big part in that?
Security will always play a big part in any industry. The fitness industry, it's very, it's, I don't know, I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's an honest answer.
Yeah.
But all I know is that we are trying our absolute best to keep these clubs as safe as they possibly can. Now, whether that's with a security system for intrusion detection or whether that's biometrics, I think biometrics, purely because they cannot be loaned and cannot be cloned, has got to play a big part in how these facilities are protected from the outside world.
Yeah, wonderful.
That's just my opinion.
Well, opinions are like backsides. Everyone has one, but
True.
But it's an informed opinion, and that's good to hear. Yeah. So mate, what do we need to talk about? Talk to me about the beer production. Have you still had time to be producing your own beers, or have you stopped?
I have stopped.
You have stopped,
but I haven't stopped.
Tell me why. You got into producing beers. You did some bloody good ones.
I did.
You even did a ginger beer.
I even did a gluten-free ginger beer for you, and you know what? It was the worst thing I've ever created in my life.
Is that why you stopped?
The whole house smelled like ginger for a week.
Perfect.
And then by the time it was fermenting, it just went crazy, and it was horrible. But beer is it's one of my go-tos.
It's one of your passions.
I like beer. I like making it purely because it's from the ground up. Mill the grains, put it in, add a bit of sugar, put some hops in. You can change the way in which you present all of these things together, and ultimately you get a different outcome. So we can make a Tui's New, or we can make a Foster's, or a 4X Bitter. It's just a recipe. You follow the recipe, you do what you need to do, and it turns out as a beer. And I haven't had many bad beers, although I will tell you about one of them. Mitchell and I decided to be creative and foolish at the same time. We decided to create an XX APA.
Right.
So anyway, you can read into that as you will.
Yes. When
it was fermented and we tried it, it was literally a beer that you'd have 1 pint and you'd have to go and find a tree to lie down under. It was so powerful that eventually we just couldn't. It was undrinkable. It was too powerful, and we ended up tipping it down the drain. So that's really the only bad beer that I've ever made.
Did you ever rate the alcohol rating on that one?
Very high. Very high. I don't know what it ended up being, but it was
possibly illegal to disclose it.
Absolutely, and it went down the drain. You couldn't drink it.
So, being that you're a connoisseur of beers, what are we drinking here, my friend?
It almost feels like a 150 Lashes.
You have nailed it in one.
There you go.
See, a true connoisseur, a man of many talents. So we touched on it before. What else do we need to talk about? We've talked about beer. We've talked about business. We talked about the future. We talked about the past. Do we need to talk a little bit about Lily, Mitch, succession plans? What do we got to talk about?
That's about it.
Okay. Well, I'll be fucked. That's it. I tell you what, it's been a long time since you've been speechless, Mark Pearce. So that is a real scoop.
I literally have no words.
On that note, to my friend, cheers.
Love you like a brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. Been a pleasure. And we are